Hi, this is Rob. I'm going to show you how to do a firmware update on the Sony A6000 compact mirrorless camera. On March 26, 2015, Sony released a firmware update to the Sony A6000 cameras. This new version is version 1.2. You may need to update your A6000 firmware if you're trying to install a new Sony camera app that requires the latest firmware. To update your A6000 firmware, first go to the menu here, select version, and note the body model and the version number. On my camera, I have the A6000 body ILCE-6000. Other body models you may see are 6000/B, 6000/S, 6000L, 6000L/B, etc. The body models differ depending on where in the world you bought your A6000. My current firmware version is 1.0. I did not update to version 1.1 because I did not have a need to update at that time. Before you begin, make sure the A6000 battery is fully charged. You also need the USB cable that came with your A6000. Now on your computer, you want to go to the Sony website esupport.sony.com and look for drivers, firmware, and software. Under Select a Product category, select Cameras, Alpha NEX, and DSLR. Then just to the right, select Series and choose ILCE. Now go to the right again and choose your A6000 body model. Remember, mine was ILCE-6000, so I will choose that one. Depending on where in the world you bought your A6000, you may be choosing one of the other A6000 body models listed here. That will bring you to this page under the Drivers and Software tab. Go down and select the operating system of your computer from this drop-down box. I'm using Windows 7 64-bit, so I will choose that one. That will bring you to this page. Go down and choose Firmware. And this is the firmware that I want, version 1.20. Click the orange download button on the right. Clicking that download button brings you to this page. We have not downloaded anything yet. It just brings you to this page. This page is important. It gives you a warning about what firmware you are about to download, and on the bottom is a table of contents that is good to read before updating your firmware. Basically, it describes everything that I'm showing you in this video. When you are ready, go to the upper right and click the blue Download Now button. Now we have to read the terms of the agreement and accept the agreement. Finally, firmware is being downloaded to the computer. It takes about 3 minutes to download. If you have Photoshop, Lightroom, or other programs open on your computer, you need to close all those programs before we go to the next steps. Once the firmware is downloaded to your computer, go to where the firmware was downloaded and double-click on the file. Also, on the A6000, you need to go to the menu here and set the USB connection to mass storage and then turn off the A6000. Now click Run. The computer is unzipping the file. This window appears. This is the firmware updater with the message, connect the camera to the computer. Now we're ready to connect the A6000 to the computer. Do not turn on the A6000 yet. First connect the A6000 to your computer using the USB cable. When you are sure the A6000 is connected to your computer, one way to tell if your A6000 is connected to your Windows computer is to see if the Remove Hardware icon is displayed in the task tray in the lower right-hand corner of the computer screen. Now, turn on the A6000. On the A6000 LCD, you will see this display. Scroll down and enter OK. Then you will see this USB mode on the A6000. The firmware updater window on your computer will say, connect the camera and the computer. Since I am in Spain, my firmware updater screen is in Spanish. Click Next on the firmware updater window. When the firmware updater recognizes the A6000 connection, the updater window displays the message, check the version, and the A6000 LCD displays the message, Follow computer instructions. Click Next on the Firmware Updater window. Then on the lower left of the Firmware Updater window displays the current firmware version that you currently have on your camera, in my case version 1.0, and the version after the update, in my case will be version 1.20. Now click Next for Prepare the camera for the update. Then the Firmware Updater window will display Reset the camera. On the A6000, the LCD will display Reset Device. Press the center button on the control wheel to reset the camera. Click Next on the Firmware Updater window. When the Run the Update is displayed on the Firmware Updater window, click Run. It can take from 5 to 15 minutes to run the update. The A6000 LCD will turn dark. Do not let your computer go into sleep mode during this update. When the update is finished, the Firmware Updater window will display Finish the update. Click Finish. After clicking Finish, wait for the A6000 camera screen to turn back on. This may take a few minutes. When the A6000 screen turns back on, it will display USB mode mass storage. Now click the Remove Hardware icon on your computer to stop the USB connection. And then disconnect the USB cable from the computer and the camera. Turn off the A6000. Take the battery out of the A6000. Wait 1 minute. Replace the battery. Turn on the A6000. Go to the menu here. I'm going to set the USB connection back to auto. Then go over here in the menu to verify you have the correct version installed. There it is, version 1.2. Okay, that's it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel.